Hi, this is Alan from Alpus Group with video 8 of a series of free training on the 20 key factors for project success. Key factor 7 is protection of utilities. Alpus recommends the following 20 key factors are addressed to ensure project success. And we've been through the first 6 of these, and key factor number 7 is protection of utilities. So if you recall, key factor 1 was ensuring there's a clear and concise project brief for the project. That is, the scope of works needs to be defined, the fundamental design parameters and the employer's or owner's requirements such as budget, cost, program time, schedule and specific operational performance requirements and quality requirements. The project or program brief should reflect the vision of the sponsor of the project or program. So you will want to consider all the development options for the particular site that you have in mind, and you will need to consider what is in the local town planning policy for that particular site to ensure that the local authority will support such a development. You would want to evaluate all the options and then seek outline and detailed planning permission unless you have permitted development rights under the Town and Country Planning Order 2015. You will also, irrespective of whether you have planning permission under permitted development rights or you seek it formally, you need to have building control permission for carrying out all of the works in accordance with the building regulations for all the options. The risks of the alternative options need to be evaluated, especially the risk that planning permission may not be granted for your chosen development. So you decide on a strategy to proceed, and you choose a particular type of development. If you have got permitted development rights, then the risk is substantially reduced for the development, whereas if you have to seek planning permission, there's always a risk that you may not be granted it or have to go through a certain number of concessions in order to get the planning permission. So key factor 2 is a risk assessment and contingency for the project to ensure that you evaluate and quantify all the risks for cost and time, and that you make allowance within the budget and the schedule for all these risks. Under funding, you need to ensure that you have adequate funding for the project. So in this example, we've allowed a contingency which was calculated from the risk assessment of $150,000 within the overall funding provision of $1,135,000. The site must be available and accessible to your contractor, therefore you must have legal ownership of the site in order for him to start work. You must give him possession of the site, so the site must have access, so you need to ensure that the contractor can get his materials into the site and his plant and machinery. And if you fail to grant the contractor possession of the site on the due date, then you'll likely open up for claims from the contractor if he incurs costs, which no doubt he will if he can't proceed with the work. In some cases you get complex situations where you need to reclaim land from the sea, such as occurred on the Crescent development, or in fact in some cases, particularly railway projects, you may need to acquire land from adjacent owners in order to complete the works, and if you don't do that and give the contractor the land he needs to complete the work, you will get claims. Statutory permissions, planning permission, you can choose to take out an option to purchase the site subject to planning permission, which gives you a right to buy the site at a predetermined price, but you're not obliged to purchase the site. For the contractor to be able to start work, you must give him possession of the site with planning permission. You can submit a planning application for development of your site, and the local authority is obliged to respond with their decision within 56 days, but it may not be an approval. So you may need to make a resubmission in order to get approval or conform to certain conditions. So there's always a risk associated with the planning process. in certain circumstances you don't need to seek planning permission. You may have permitted development rights, and if that is the case, you can give the contractor possession of the site knowing that your permitted development rights are applicable, and you'll need to get a confirmation of that from the local authority. You can then carry out the permitted development within the current regulations for permitted development, but you need to keep on top of these because they're changing all the time. Some of them are phasing out and others are becoming effective on the 1st of August 2021. So you need to ensure that you've still got the permitted development right that you envisage. Agreements with neighbours is key factor 6, so particularly in congested suburban areas, your neighbours have to be considered. You may need a party wall award granted under the Party Wall Act, which protects your neighbours and your own rights when agreeing work to be carried out at a party wall condition between yours and the neighbour's property. There may be way leaves allowing certain parties rights of access across the land, also rights of way. This may be for sewers, electrical cables, gas mains, telephone and communications cables, water main supplies, rights of access for maintenance such as to electrical substations. You may have neighbouring mainline rail or tube lines, and you may be restricted in work that you can carry out on your boundary if that is the case, and particularly the method of execution, particularly adjacent to railway lines. All of the above applicable items will need to be addressed through agreements with the statutory organisations or their appointed representatives. Protection of utilities or diversion of utilities. Many properties, particularly those in congested suburban areas, have neighbours that need to be considered. There may be way leaves allowing certain parties access rights across your land, also rights of way for example, sewers, electrical cables, gas mains, telephone and communication cables, water main supplies, rights of access for maintenance such as to electrical substations. So you need to fully survey all of the existing services and utilities on your development site, as well as assess the future requirements for the site for all those services. You can obtain some information from the relevant statutory utility company, but additional surveys will be needed. In some cases where the existing building on the site is to be demolished, the services can be cut off and discontinued. In other cases, protection measures need to be put in place to prevent damage to services. Alternatively, diversion of some services may be required, for which additional time may be needed. If you want to discuss this sort of issue or any other issues to do with your project, you can contact us at www.alpusgroup.com. We're based in Hindhead, Surrey, and in Slovenia. You can contact me, Alan, at alpusgroup.com, or telephone me on +44 7539 141257. I've got Skype, WhatsApp and FaceTime on that number. If you want to book a 30-minute exploratory call with me, go to https:/calendly.com/AlanJE. If you'd like a free contracts checklist, you can go to the first tinyurl.com link below, or if you're interested in property development training, then go to the second tinyurl link below, and I'll look forward to seeing you in the next video. Cheers for now.